Hi, I'm Miranda HP.
And I'm Connor Calloway.
And together we are
the Bountiful Bards.
Thanks for tuning in to our one-on-one D&D podcast,
The Fountains of Cathaidra. And we are back in the studio, bringing you the most well-collected of mismatched stories right to your ears. Welcome back to the Bountiful Bards, Fountains of Cathaidra. Miranda, how are you doing today?
I'm sleepy, but I'm okay.
Sleepy? That's not time to be sleepy. It's time to be awake, experiencing life, going on journeys, grand adventures, deep horrors, elegant romances.
The last time we went on a grand adventure, we sat in traffic for like 6 hours.
That is true. Hello, everyone. It's good to be back. It's good to be talking to you. We did. That was about a week ago where Miranda and I decided that in our 30s, it would be a great idea to shove ourselves in a car and go see the eclipse, which was great, actually. We made it. We stayed the night in Memphis. It was beautiful. Go across the bridge, went into Arkansas. A lot of flat land. Saw a gorgeous solar eclipse, was inspired, wrote a lot of stuff down. And then what happened, Miranda?
And then, Arkansas, I guess, decided that 20 years of advance notice was not enough time to prepare their infrastructure, particularly their roads, for people trying to leave from the eclipse. And then they throttled the millions of people that were driving that direction across two tiny bridges into Tennessee, and one of those bridges had a lane closed. So it was pretty awful.
It was pretty awful. And the best part was, in hindsight, after, we sat in hours, stop and go traffic for 4 hours, where a 4.5 hour trip became a 8-hour trip, was the fact that mob mentality broke out. And along both sides of the interstate, where you have the service single lane, both directional roads, people just took over those roads going double lane south, just compiling right there at the two bridges.
Highway speeds, too. I felt so bad for the locals.
They ran locals off the road.
Quite literally.
It was harrowing. Harrowing?
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
I always want to say harrowing.
No.
But that's not correct. But it was definitely worth driving to see the solar eclipse because it was the first time for Miranda and I both to be in totality. And just to end on a good note, there's just something magical about, and we know it's not magical, it's celestial bodies, moving with indifference throughout the cosmos, and we just so happened to be in the right place at the right time. But the fact that it became a bright, sunny day to practically just after dusk in a matter of seconds, and the smell, the sight, your hearing, your everything, just every sense that you had just immediately panicked because of how fast it changed. Yet, still just wonderful to experience overall.
Yeah, plus it dropped like 20 degrees.
Yeah, Fahrenheit. It dropped 20 degrees. I think we stopped a few, reminding Miranda's old age of 30-ish, we stopped some of the young whippersnappers from staring directly into the sun because they didn't know how to use their eclipse glasses. But to be fair, in 2017, I also failed to use my eclipse glasses the proper way. So it happens. If anything, I just wanted to make sure they didn't make the same mistake.
But enough about our world.
Let's get back into the world you've come to listen to. Not our babblings, but the brooks in between. Welcome back to Cathaidra.
Well, they probably have eclipses often because of the damn stuff floating in the atmosphere.
That's all the asteroids, the curtains.
Yeah.
I don't bring that up anymore. I probably should. I had a reason for those.
I'll be damned if I remember what it is, though. Anyway, I'm sure it's not important.
No, I told you what they were.
Something starts streaking towards the ground to cause like a massive calamity extinction event. I'll be damned if I can remember.
Not anyway. Extinction event, but I don't know. I probably can use this later on, so no spoilies. Okay. We'll don't worry about the asteroids anymore, Miranda.
Sure. Anyway, so how do you think we can survive? Just on the offset chance that
they're not that far up. They just make nice large craters.
Oh boy.
Hold on, I gotta tip tap my watch here. Hit the stopwatch. And reset and go. Leah.
Yes.
You recall last time that your brother reappeared after going MIA for a couple of days and was able to unlock his own fountain just like you. And in doing so, he said that he may have instigated a revolt in the city.
Ah, yeah, shenanigans ensued. It would not be Jimothy if shenanigans did not ensue.
This is true. But who knows what else is going on in the world? After a few hours of getting up, brushing off, dusting up, and whatnot, you find yourself sitting in the kitchen of the way station. Willie the cook is busy making charcuterie boards, cutting up cheeses and hard sausages and hard breads and stuff, and preparing those, and you can smell them. Over at another table, let me finish with your table, then we'll get to the other table. You sit there with your brother and Theo, while Caslin has taken the two other new individuals, Selv and Jill, and are sitting at another table, a little ways away, is getting to know each other. And you look over and see Caslin is over there gesticulating with his hands in very theatrical ways and regaling his tale. And essentially, you're glad he's doing that because he's preparing these two new individuals, whoever they may be, what they're going to be in for. And possibly this is their chance to step out if they feel like they're getting in over their head.
I feel like his continual crossing his finger across his throat and maybe making the hanged man gesture is a little over the top, but you know what? I'm going to go with it and just see what he does.
Absolutely. Now.
Theo,
looking very much... It's haggard, and I mean haggard in the way that she has been keeping herself wound tight with stress, and it looks like it is finally released, and she looks very tired, but also happy the fact that both of you are back home, essentially, and safe. And she goes, "First, I have an update. I have updated your parents, and both of them they're elated that you are okay. And, of course, very proud of what you have accomplished. They also have more to offer on the current situations in the outside world. We all know the experience of receiving our new levels of power. Well, it would seem there are quite a few other of the magical kind hiding amongst the 6 points of the civilized road. Tamara estimates that in Unbrecken there may just be over 1,000, if not more. She is basing this theory on her experience of pocketed revolts within the city. So, Jimothy, I guess it runs in the family.
Oopsie.
What you two have done is not only bring back magic to this world, but also the spirit of people to use it. No one knows what we are doing, and only the people in the unlocked cities would even have a chance to understand. We have moved faster than the common message can, so people are assuming their own reasoning. The average variable is that those who now have more abilities are using them to overthrow the divine governance in their cities. So, we've started a full-on civil war.
Oops.
Yeah, oops, indeed.
Anyway.
Timothy goes, okay, so it wasn't completely my fault then. I feel, I guess, a little bit better. We started it, but, people make their own choices based off their circumstances. That's right. We didn't start the fire, indeed. Naturally, the lance has been mustered and the church is fortified against the revolts.
Mustard.
The paladins and clerics are attempting to quell the madness, but it is a very, very slow gain. Jimothy goes, That really does explain what happened in Hillvane. After we started the revolt, we exited to find the city on fire and, with the guard revolt, or at least a portion of it. That's why I sounded so strained when I was trying to make for the teleportation circle. Bottom of an empty well, by the way. So be careful where you end up.
Noted. At least it was empty.
Sethil says, the question is, what do we do now?
So, Mom and Dad are where? Umbrecken and...
Etchings. Your father is in Etchings,
okay.
Which he went there because your mother would be recognized, and she is in Unbrecken, which
is the furthest away from Vault.
The furthest away from Brout. Well, glad you asked. Everybody listening in, please refer to the map on our social media page, but I'm going to take Miranda there so she can see it now. Ta-da!
So, well, they're both pretty far away.
No, not technically. Etchings, so on the map, and everybody at home that's listening in, think of a hexagon. Vaut is the holy city, the Vatican, as it were, the capital of all of Cathaidra. On a hexagon due north of this city is Miro, where Miranda started her journey. The northeast and northwest cities are Etching to the west and Unbrecken to the northeast, the northwest and east of this hexagon. To the southwest is Easeway, which is the city that Miranda went to unlock her fountain, and where she found Caslin. Due east of that, and also close to the city of Vaut, is Hillvane. So your mother is in the southeast portion of the map, where your father is in the northwest portion of the map.
Northeast.
No, she's in Hillvane.
Oh, I thought Jimothy was just in Hillvane.
No, Jimothy was...
I'm so confused.
Yes, that's why we're going over this. Jimothy was just in the city of Unbrecken. So essentially...
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. The women part of your team took over the south cities. The men part of your team took over the northern cities, or went to those. That's a good way of looking at it.
Okay. I was only asking because Etchings, close to Miro, is that where... So, and I'm asking only because the further away they are from the capital, the more likely the clerics and stuff that are there are more in touch with the common folks.
Okay. Do you say this out loud as Leah?
Well, no, I'm...
In a way that makes sense where you don't sound like a doofus?
Yes.
And you're not sounding like a doofus. This is Miranda asking questions above the table.
Yeah, so, because, like, I'm only curious because, like, especially, I know in Miro, for instance, if, like, shit were going down, the clerics and stuff would be out there just, like, helping put out the fires quite literally, like, hand in hand with the neighbors, so they would be less likely to experience a straight-up, like, kill the beast sort of experience because they work with these people. They work alongside them, they help them with harvest and stuff like that, but the closer you get to Vaut, as, you know, we've seen historically, the more likely they are to be much more totalitarian. So I'm wondering if that is the experience, or if there's still, like, if Etchings is plagued by the same kind of turmoil, or if it's less.
Roll me, I would say, a history check with advantage, because Jimothy's about to chime in as we pretty much state Leah is asking this in a way that makes sense for the canon.
I rolled a 16 on both dice.
Very nice.
And +5 to history, so 21.
As you say this, you realize 2/3 of the way through, you're lacing a subconscious amount of hope in your statement. And you know that this hope is not exactly tarnished by what Jimothy says, but it definitely has an effect on it that it could go either way. And he goes, well, yeah, that usually what happens, but if I remember what my teacher taught me is that they pretty much try and keep anybody on rotations to not get too familiar. It does happen, and there are soldiers that are able to stay behind because they find individuals that they want to marry and such, but they also have fortifications halfway along each city that has full garrisons that can march out in either direction. So I think you're absolutely right to begin with, but if they are definitely mustering and marching troops, then they're going to be bringing in complete strangers to all the cities just to try and quell whatever's going on.
Isn't it always interesting that they are always their own seat of defeat?
Yeah, well, I've never seen them defeated, so I guess that'll be a great thing to say or see.
Anything that grows too large eventually becomes brittle.
Thiel replies, that has some muster to it. Even the oldest tree will fall to its own weight in some point.
And all they had to do was not be so damn obnoxious. And yet,
here we are, people who only wanted to use magic, now fighting back for our lives.
The haves versus the haves not. It's a tale as old as time.
After speaking with your parents, and because of both of your abilities and able to give us more power, we could have more conversations. Your parents and I agree that now is the best time, the only time, to get the other two fountains unlocked. With the revolts going on in the city as a distraction, instead of just doing the proper investigation and returning with a plan, both, mainly your mother, of course, but your father agrees that we need to put all forces we can to get in the other two cities up and running, and then we all need to focus on Vaut, which is going to take us all. That is the divine city that has the most belief, people willing to die, Soldiers, the cream of the crop, the throne of the angel themselves.
It also has the people who might be the angriest.
The ones who don't understand. The ones who were born and bred into the culture and where the root of the tree is, so to say, where Miro is the branches being farthest away from the source. About is the stubborn stump that will not be undone.
But rot starts at the roots.
So, tomorrow morning, it is a great idea, and your parents have asked that one of you go to each of them and reinforce them. They have studied into the fountain enough that they believe they have a direct route. They don't have to do all this searching like you two did anymore. So where do you want to go? What do you feel is best?
I don't remember if we did this last time, Connor, but I think I decided that it would make sense for me to go with Mom and Jimothy to go with Dad, because Dad's like the bard and Mom's the intellect. So.
Yeah, and as I stated in the last podcast, I talked this over with Miranda, as many DMs do. This is not unauthentic by any means or railroading, but DMs will talk to their players, and it's okay to do so because DMs have to know what to prepare. They can't just prepare, like, say, a pound of content, but only take a few ounces off. You need to be efficient with your time to make it better. So yes, Miranda decided of the two individuals, she would like to go and join her mother in Hillvane, as opposed to going to Etchings with her father. So, in character. So which one do you two want to go after?
I'll go with Mom. I think it makes sense for Jimothy to go with Dad.
I agree. Did he say anything about where the fountain might be in Etchings? He did. He believes it is under the old college. And Jimothy goes, "Ha! See? And I spent plenty of time there. I know those halls pretty well. So yeah, I'll definitely go to Etchings, and I'll take Jill and Sel with me as well." And they both look up and over. They're like, "Huh?" As soon as Willie sets down hors d'oeuvres in front of them, and then they kind of get distracted again.
I think that we need to see if Dad can get in touch with, or if we can get in touch through Dad, any of his contacts in Val, because we need to start causing problems as distractions immediately.
Oh, don't you worry about that. I have already been lifting up the pebbles and been looking for his contacts. The Luminaire should be already researching into any artifacts or any places for the fountain, and yes, spreading the word of doubt.
Yeah, what I mean though is we need to start having like restlessness and like...
Oh dear, that's what I meant by doubt.
Yeah.
Doubt is the best way to get people moving. Doubt in their infrastructure, in their government, in the belief itself.
What part of year is it?
It is mid-spring, basically.
Okay. So one of the things I'll suggest, and I don't want to like bog things down with this because like it just gets really tedious, but one of the things I'll suggest is things like finding anybody who is really like extremist and not allying with them exactly,
yeah, right,
but using what their actions are as leverage. Like you get certain people really fired up. It's the so I read a story where it was really good, where it was basically like there was someone who like they fell to their deaths outside of a wall, and they used the people being like, "Oh my God, they pushed him off the wall," to like foment this like huge rebellion to prove that the ruling class didn't care. Look what they were doing. Turned out later that they were dummies that were intentionally like acted as if they did, and then they took some criminals who were going to be executed and they killed the criminals, but they acted as if they were like innocent civilians and stuff like that to constantly like undermine the ruling class and things like that. So it's one of those things where you can like use the extremist to your advantage kind of thing, like, or to trigger them, be like, "Oh, did you hear that they did this to these people?"
Oh, yeah.
But like intentionally misinterpret it, like, or intentionally take it out of context so it seems really bad.
Oh yeah, like what Sanderson did in Mistborn, or what was done in Dune as well.
Yes, yeah. So just kind of like to constantly like foment these kind of like unrest and stuff like that. And because it would be spring, it'd be part of the planting season, maybe one of the fields gets ravaged and then they blame it on the church, even if it absolutely wasn't the church's fault. Like, just make it seem like it. Or like have somebody out in one of those fields like start some shit, and then the church responds like they normally would, but then blow it out of proportion, being like, look, they took over the spring fields, now there won't be enough planting, you know, like really just like anything they do or don't do make it worse.
You know what? I really need you to pin that thought.
Okay.
Okay? Like a hard pin. Like take a nail and hammer that thought to the wall.
Okay.
You'll find out later why.
Oh, shit.
Now then, a day of rest. We have at least one day for sure. Get all our energies and magics and abilities back up and just get ready.
Get ready. Yes, I will take another. Thanks, Willie.
Willie puts it down. And then you look over and there you hear, as you look over and Paul the Builder, automaton, is inside the wall looking at you, and you see his little beams of light are blinking at you, trying to get your attention.
Yes, Paul.
He lifts up his hand and does a little wave gesture and then turns around.
I follow him.
All right. You get up and you follow him. And let me just change the map back to the way station. By all means, please, online. You can follow along. Going back into the way station, he walks across from the kitchen over into the area where there is a large fountain. Past the large fountain, not one of Cathaidra, just a standard fountain with water in it. He walks up to the wall, and he puts both hands on it and presses. And the wall slides inward and to the right. And you and Jimothy and Theo are both standing there with him because you're all confused and curious. And he reaches inside this dark chamber, and you hear the click as lights come on inside this new room in the way station that has just appeared.
Oh, shit.
Inside, it is, the humidity is higher. There is steam engulfing the stone in this large circular-like room. And in the middle is this large basin of steaming water.
You made a fucking sauna for this shit.
Not a sauna, a full-on spa,
Oh,
hot spring.
Of course you did.
There is a fountain in the middle of this basin that is just pulling out this water, and the water has a purplish sheen to it. And you notice there's also like some suds floating about, not like, you know, putting dial soap in a dishwasher, but enough to where it's just a little bit, you know, of cleaning herbs probably mixed into the water that you can just smell this lavender fragrance. And what other smells would go along with like a soaking bath right out of Miyazaki's Spirited Away, Miranda?
Eucalyptus.
There you go.
Tea tree. Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
And then Phil goes, What where did this come from?
Jimothy's already stripping.
Yeah, Jimothy is actually dropped to his knees and he's starting to cry.
Why do I picture Laios from Delicious in Dungeon? Just like, ah.
It's so beautiful.
Yep.
And then you hear the paddling up behind you as Caslin, Jill, and Selv all come up behind you, and they're like, what is that? And then Paul steps to the side and goes, as you notice that he's like, ta-da! And you look over to the edges, and you see that there are some scrapes and stuff, and it seems this place was probably like collapsed inward and had been under repairing, and you get the sense that these automatons were keeping it as a surprise.
Oh boy.
And Theo goes, they kept vanishing. I could have sworn they would vanish and I couldn't find them, and now I know why.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. I guess it is time to enjoy the spa of Cathaidra.
Indeed. And
roll credits. Sorry.
So Anthony walks up and he hands all of you this huge stack of white linen towels.
All right.
So then, you and your allies can soak in the nice spa before the next morning. Leah, is there anything that you would like to do before you set out on the next part of your quest?
She probably writes some music.
Okay, beautiful. I love it. What else? Any conversations you want to have? Any supplies you want to get or anything like that?
Well, she's definitely going to stock up. I think she's probably going to be, because she's going to Hillvane, so she's most likely going to like go over what she knows about the place, like any geography, like relevant stuff, like all the really boring like prep. Look for ingress, egress, pay attention to where things are, learn where the fountain, like where the fountain is, which is where?
Well, first and foremost, these are all wonderful questions. So I'm gonna have you had this conversation with Theo, who's probably gonna know what's best when it comes to what Hillvane is and what it looks like. So I want you to roll me a history check with advantage. Actually, I probably should have rolled for Theo. I would just use your number if it's good enough. What is it?
17.
That's good enough. It was going to be a 10 anyways. My apologies. I should have had her roll. Theo says, and you're both soaking your feet or legs in the water, I'm sure, as you look over, and Caslin and Jimothy are like fighting across the basin, and it's a good 30 feet, so they're not splashing you, but it's where it's up to, for a human, it's probably up to just over your waist, and for Caslin, it's a pool. So the Caslin is basically being like a piranha in the pool trying to fight Jimothy, and they're like doing hand-to-hand wrestling combat and stuff.
They're tussling.
Theo goes, Hillvane. I've been there twice, and it is a very, very beautiful countryside. It is the breadbasket for Vault. They grow most of the food for the city, with all their lush plantations and aqueducts. So the city itself is actually against a cliffside, a beautiful white granite cliffside, and is on 3 different tiers of hills that people live upon, and they farm upon it too, but mostly it's for the mass whatnots of their buildings and such. It's definitely not your typical city. Think of all your other walled cities and such. This one is definitely it's like villages just started growing amongst one another and became one large village. Does that make sense?
It does.
Except for, of course, the Cathaidra, the cathedral, and the solarium, which is on the topmost hill. And that one is walled and fortified. So naturally the fountain's probably there.
So it's basically just like terraced farming?
Yes. Just around the hill, though. Once you get past the 3 main hills against the cliffside, it is just a maze work of farms, and lancing across all the farms are these giant bridge-like stoneworks that are aqueducts, and it is so fascinating. It literally catches the rainwaters in a reserve that is caught on the granite rock the hill is against, and then disperses it out on these long stone ancient aqueducts that water runs along to these farms, and that's how they feed water to the farms whenever they don't get enough rain.
So it reminds me of that. What is that one city in Italy that's like that? You get to visit it in Assassin's Creed.
Well, a lot of the Italian cities do have aqueducts, but naturally,
right? But I'm talking about like the terraced farm leading up to the city, like the actual the central part. There is one. I can't remember what it is, but you visit as, I believe.
I know what you're talking
Ezio?
about. I know what you're talking about. So it is either Florence or Rome.
I would say Florence, I think.
I think Florence is the one you're talking about, but when it comes to the abundance of aqueducts, that is always going to be, it began and it didn't begin, but the main infrastructure is in Rome, but Florence has its fair share, if I recall correctly, of aqueducts. Do not take that for granted. Everybody, please fact check me and tell me if I'm wrong. I love being wrong because that is the way I get to learn.
Speaking of all this running water and water and water, I have to use the bathroom. So Leah gets out of the spa and goes to the bathroom.
Indeed. And then the rest of your evening is enjoyed among friends, and your brother, praising you and you praising him in return. And
this poor dragonborn, and was it human?
No, she's a gnome.
Oh,
Jill
right.
is
So
a gnome.
this other gnome and this dragonborn are just like shell shocked, but like doing their best.
Give me an insight check.
Wow, that dice sucks. You're going in jail. 6.
They seem all right.
Son of a bitch.
What? They seem fine.
I'll kill you.
And Jimothy even tells you, nah, they're fine. They're made of good stuff. I promise.
It's still a lot to experience for the first time, for sure.
Caslin walks out. It sure is. Selv's kind of having a heart attack, though. So apparently he was named after the silver dragon that we're very friends, or with the mother of the silver dragon we're friends with, and that's why they share a name. So he's been freaking out knowing the fact that we met her. So Jimothy, sometime after this, you're gonna have to take a trip up north and let your friend meet our compatriot. And then Jimothy just does a booming laugh. He goes, "Oh, that's right. I thought that was strange." You all sit around, and Willie actually brings out wine from God knows where, and you're all able to enjoy your evening before settling in and preparing for what comes next. Leah, as you go to sleep, your belly full of both wine and food and a moment of respite, you have a strange dream.
Get away from me, melatonin demons.
When the expired melatonin hits too hard. And you drift in water, but you can breathe. But as you move your arms, you definitely feel just fluid flowing through your fingers. You're in a sea of gold. Not bright, burning the eyes, but enough to feel a presence. And solidifying before you, although her face is fogged and not completely whole, you see the goddess before you.
The sexy golden lady is how I wrote her down.
Yes, the sexy golden lady. Do you remember her name?
No.
Why did you not write down the name?
I wrote down her name, I just don't remember it. It's further back in my notes somewhere.
The main quest giver, you can't remember what her name is?
I just wrote sexy golden lady. Look.
What am I going to do with you?
Don't give me sexy golden ladies? I mean...
Her name is Sibyllin.
That's right. Oh, no, I see it. Sibyllin in origin. Sexy golden lady. Not one of the six. Lore dump. That's what I have written, okay?
Leah. She sounds tired.
Oh boy.
Leah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You've done well. But I have grave news. And it's using all I can to speak with you. The six are awakening and holding me firm. But the worst of it is, I feel the power of the fountains growing and my strength as well. But I sense that the conclusion, the great beast, the world ender, has sensed the outburst of magic, and where it was just an animal in the sea swimming, it feels like it has a purpose. Blood in the water. I told you a decade. The timeline is growing shorter. I hate to burden you and your loved ones with this, but you'll have to move faster.
All right.
I still believe in you. I still believe you can. And from the gold liquid, you see a hand, her hand, a skin of gold, reaching out, and porcelain white nails. And gently, carefully, the finger touches your nose. Just a little bit. Or what you believe is your nose, because you are both with and without your body in this dreamlike state. And you wake up as you feel this spark just on the tip of your nose, and you wake up in a cold sweat. "Morning," Caslin says. He comes bustering into your room, and he's got his backpack on, and he's got his full-on gear and everything, and his weapons and daggers, and he's like, are you ready?
I'ma get up. I'ma pee. I'ma wash my face. I'ma have coffee. Uh-huh. And I'ma have breakfast. And then I will go. But I also need to talk to Theo right now.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll meet you in the kitchen. Everybody else is waiting.
Fetch.
Fetch Theo?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll tell her.
And I start performing my morning ablutions as I indicated.
A few moments later, Theo appears.
I relayed to her the urgency in the dream that I had.
Oh, dear.
Just wanted to, make the gargle, 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 spit timeline clear.
Okay. All right. So good thing that this is happening a bit quicker than we wanted it to. So, Open the fountains, topple a nation, go to an ancient relic, defeat 6 ancient wizards, release a goddess, save the world.
Yeah, no problem, right?
No problem. Let's keep this between us. Do not tell your brother or your friends.
Cool. I tie my hair back.
Oh, okay. It's one of those days. Yep. She already has her hair in a braid. Come eat, have coffee, and let's get you on the road.
Yep.
You walk out and have your pancakes and bacon and coffee, your magnificent coffee that does not exist out. You know it does exist outside of here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it does. Just not as good as these guys make it. These guys are the original Keurigs, okay?
Yes.
They're the Mr. Coffee. That was their origin, was the coffee pot, and then they just kept adding AI features to coffee pots until they end up with automatons.
Absolutely. You see Jimothy with his gifted weaponry and defense, looking just a hero worth writing a tale about. You are quite happy is a good word. What's another good word?
I'm proud of him, but I also need, as the older sibling, I need to now go promptly take him down a notch.
Okay, how are you going to take him down a notch? As he stands there with his friends who look on him with admiration.
Jimothy, don't trip.
I don't trip anymore.
Your shoelace is untied.
Grown in power beyond that. They buckle closed. What are you talking about?
He still looks down.
I didn't say he looked down. I control Jimothy, not you.
Yeah, but he's the younger sibling. He's like, what?
He does look down.
It's just the gentle sibling ribbing is all it is.
Indeed. And the two of you walk shoulder to shoulder into the teleportation area with your friends behind you.
Orchestral music swells.
He holds his fist up to you for a bump.
I bump.
And the fist is bump as you both go to your respective teleportation circles. And Theo is there, ready. She goes, all right. I can activate the machine and send you both on your way.
Don't know when I'll be back again.
Please, get on the pedestals.
All right.
You know the rules. Message me. Updates. Your parents should be waiting for you. Within a day, they've had enough time to journey to the locations. Leah, Caslin, be safe.
Before we launch,
okay,
I'm going to, because I had this prepped, because that's part of what I did with like spell prep and stuff. Non-detection by touch lasts for 8 hours.
Yes.
So, it's not a concentration spell, obviously.
Right.
And since it does not say that I can't do it to multiple things. So I'm going to cast it from both my piano and from my myself. And I'm going to...
What's it called? What spell?
Non-detection.
Let me look it up real quick.
It says...
As y'all hear the tippy tapping of my keyboard?
Well, I have the little card here.
You can do it to multiple people if you use multiple spell slots. Yes. It's not concentration.
Right. Because for 8 hours concentration, that'd be nuts. So, I'm going to... When I fist bump Jimothy, I will have cast it on Jimothy.
Now, as a DM to his player, why would you want to do that?
Because they're probably looking for us. They know what we look like.
Understood. Okay.
And I don't want them to be able to scry on us. Like, we've kind of determined that it's difficult for them. Maybe this is like the Cheyenne Mountain of the before times or something. It's kind of difficult for anything to happen in here that they don't want. And there's obviously...
No, I get all that. So you're using the new spell you required, non-detection, to hide you and Jimothy from scrying. Yes. I wanted to know the reasoning why you used it on Jimothy, and you because I didn't know. So I do appreciate you providing that.
Yeah, just because, he's Jimothy.
So as you two touch fist, an arc of purple swirls off of your forearm and encapsulating itself around him, and then it tightens on both of your arms, kind of as like, a magical bond. Not really a magical bond is created, just to show that the magic is solidified. He looks at it, and you very much tell him what it's for, because you told him about Samuel, I'm sure, yes?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And he says, hey, if he shows up again, go for the knees. Every soldier's got bad knees. I don't care how old you are.
It happens. All that heavy armor. Yeah.
All that heavy armor. And if I see him, and he cricks his neck, I guess he'll have to teach me a few lessons with his sword play.
Slap him on the ass. You get him.
And he shoves you. And you're like, wow, he's gotten stronger. Good luck, sis.
Good luck, man.
You both get on your respective circles. Theo looks at both of you. All right. Let's get on with the quest. Good luck. And then she flips a switch as you see Jill, the orb go, and all the robots are there with their meticulous different items, with a chef hat, apron on another one. One of them has a tool belt on, and then the last one, he always has like a bottle of spray cleaner of some sort and a rag. And they all wave at you gleefully as there's a flash. You hear the engines roar up, and you're gone. On to the next city, the next adventure. We've been laxed and lulled a little bit, but now it's time to bring the tension back up as we continue on within the fountains of Cathaidra. Naturally, that's where I have to end this episode, because why wouldn't I? It's perfect. There you go. We can put that in the background. Are you excited?
Oh, yeah. Shit's about to go down, yo. And I'm going to disguise myself to look like an old woman.
Oh.
And I'm going to make Aslan look like a little boy. Come here, grandson.
Definitely.
Do you need a booster seat?
Mother. We will see when we return. Hopefully in 2 weeks. We may need to go on a hiatus just for a little bit extra time for me to do some more lore building. But I think we're good enough along, so that's just to give you guys a heads up, just in case. But if not, we should be on schedule. And after all, we will see you next time. So say goodbye, Miranda.
Goodbye, Miranda.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for listening. Please leave a review anywhere you found us. You can reach out to us on Twitter at Bountiful Bards. We hope to see you again on the civilized road.
And bring bread and cheese.
As the story goes, until then.